Get an AI song as the intro.
I've been trying to find a beat for us.
It's just beatbox. Yo. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the cave. It's me, Joe Reezy, and I'm here with Proper and Field Burn, bringing you the Cave podcast. But before we begin, make sure you check out our sponsors at safelightcandle.com. If you need lighting for your home, your workspace, or your studio, why aren't you getting it at safelightcandle.com? Also, if you want to enjoy exclusive content from the Cavemen, get access to our Discord community filled with crazy-ass people like you and me 24/7, then you're probably going to want to check out our Patreon page. And link to that should be on our website, K4V3.com. That's cave.com. We got Max from the Horror Movie Talk podcast on the show tonight. What's up, Max? How you doing?
What's up,
I'm
man?
good. I'm feeling great. How are you guys?
Doing fine. I'm a night owl, so I'm kind of just starting to wake up over here. Yeah.
Sure.
How are you guys? Are you from, where are you from? You said East Coast?
No. So my co-host lives on the East, but I'm in Idaho. So
Okay.
Nice.
nowhere interesting.
So you're one of three, right? The Horror Movie Talk team consists of three men.
2 men, 1 woman. It used to be 2 guys. The show's been going for like 5 years, and one of them decided they needed to take a step back. That was David. So David took a step back and stopped doing the podcast. But Bryce has been doing it for 5 years, and he wanted to continue. So we brought me and Sydney on. We just kind of started this year, so we're a little new to the podcasting sphere. I did some work behind the scenes for them for a lot of years, but this is my I'm still kind of getting my sea legs as far as recording goes.
That's cool, man. Yeah, it's fun. So you know what I mean. Learning on the way isn't bad. Plus,
Yeah, it's awesome.
how did you all meet? Did you all know each other prior to getting this started, or how'd that go?
So me and Sydney just were fans of the show. We were listening for a long time. I was one of the early fans. I listened year one, and that was back when they had time to respond to all their fans on social media and stuff. So I kept in contact with them, and I do music, so I helped them out with like an intro song and like little drops and stuff. And that's how we kept in contact for a while. I was just doing some work for them. And Sydney, has just been a listener for a long time, and a very vocal one. She went to, they did a live performance a couple years ago, and she went to that. She like flew across the country to go see them. So I think that made a big impression. And just met because we love horror movies and we like to talk about them.
So fans of the show ended up working for the show and then ended up being a part of the show?
Yeah, exactly.
Wow, that's cool, man. That's dope. So what about horror movies drew you guys into to hone in and laser in on that niche?
Well, I mean, for me, I just think that there's nothing better than like a jaw-dropping moment in a horror movie that actually just like, it's like an out-of-body experience when something just crazy happens. And I love the feeling of seeing something that I'd never thought of before. And I feel like that happens a lot in horror movies. So it's a great, it's a fun thing to talk about. And even when the movies are bad, it's still, we can joke about it and have a good time.
Do you guys watch Key and Peele?
I've seen a lot of Key and Peele, yeah.
I'm thinking about that that skit where they watch a scary movie and they're like, man, that shit ain't scary, man. And they're walking together to the car and they're like fucking like scared. But yeah, no, you're right. For some reason, horror movies in particular, they have your attention. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
like they have a grasp on it. I feel like more so than some drama and some suspense has it, but there's something about horror that has you at the edge of your seat. I don't know if it's the score of it or just the psychology of the scenes and just, how it mentally gets you to kind of put yourself in that environment, we'll get into our favorite horror movies. And I know you guys did a review on The Strangers, and that's one of my favorite horror movies, just because it's not like supernatural, and like their intent of doing it. And first of all, it's based on a real story, or it's inspired by true events, but
right.
Just the blurred lines of reality in a movie is what makes it really stand out compared to the other movies for me, or movie genres.
For sure. Yeah, I love The Strangers. I think that movie's super fun. Anything that like brings it into reality, I think, sometimes that can make it way scarier because, I'm not too worried about ghosts and demons in my house, but break-ins happen all the time, and that's really scary. So
they do. But before we get to go forward and just, pick your brain about horror movies, what was the first horror movie you saw? You're like, yeah, this is my favorite genre. Because I mean, there's that movie for everyone where they see it's like, yeah, this is exactly what I want to keep watching.
Yeah, for sure. So I watched some horror growing up as a kid, not a ton. My parents were pretty strict on the movies we watched. So it wasn't really till I became an adult. I went on an LDS mission. I'm a Latter-day Saint. And so I went on a mission when I was 18. I came back when I was 20. And it was kind of when I moved out on my own after that I started getting into movies that were coming out, like Hereditary, Midsummer, all those A24 ones that came out in the string of like 4 years, The Witch, just those really like atmospheric ones. Those ones really drew me in. And I think that's really when I decided, like, yeah, this is for me. I really enjoy these. And so I had a lot of catching up to do because I hadn't seen like any classics. I hadn't seen a lot. So it's been, a great time getting to know the genre over the past few years.
Nice. Kind of a late bloomer, I guess you could say, but
for sure.
Better late than never.
Yeah.
My earliest memory of a scary movie, and it still creeps me out to this day, was when my dad was watching, and he's like, hey, come watch with me. And it was The Shining. Like the newer one, not the original one, but there was a new version, because he was telling me how he's seen the original, and this is his first time watching the new one. He's like, not sure if it was good, but I don't think he liked it too much. But I remember being freaked out watching that shit, because I was like, I don't even want to see the first one.
Bro, yeah.
I love The Shining.
Legitimately made me scared of the fucking bathroom, bro.
Yeah, I mean, but I do love, I mean, in Ready Player One, when they kind of revisited that was epic. I mean, just watching that, I was like, oh, I know what's going to happen here, and just kind of like reliving those childhood memories of seeing and getting a little creeped out with my kids because they were watching Ready Player One. I was like, oh, watch this. He's going to the bathroom, and they were pretty scarred about that.
That's awesome. Yeah, I just actually read the book for The Shining last year, and I loved it. I thought it was incredible. So I'm not like the biggest reader. I'm trying to get better at it, but I had a great time reading that book, and the movie is so fun. I think that there's a lot of differences, but yeah, man, that story is just intense.
But isn't it crazy how the right, like, he hated the movie? From what I read. I mean, I learned about that in Ready Player One, so I kind of dug. He was like, really? He didn't like the movie? And it turns out, I mean, I don't know what he didn't like about it, because I watched the original one some years later, and I do prefer it over that remake, just because it had that, I don't know about what it was about, like, old scary movies, but it had this creepy feel to every single one. I mean, the new ones, you're like, oh, okay, it's The Nun, here we go, we're going to watch this one. But back then, it was always these weird psychological kind of thrillers, right? And you just get this sense that someone's just going to lose their mind and don't know what they're going to do. And then nowadays it's kind of predictable. I mean, like you said, they kind of go demons, ghosts, here we go. It's like Paranormal Activity was kind of like taking the theaters, and everyone was going to those and freaking out. I lived in a haunted house, so I remember watching that movie. I was like, yeah, that's fucking scary.
Yeah, you'll have to tell me more about that. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, we can get into that, but we'll segue into that at some point. But
sure.
Yeah, I do have stories about that. But yeah, so I mean, that's why when I watch scary movies and I see ghost stuff, people are like, I'm not. I was like, no, I've been through that, so it's kind of freaky for me.
Yeah, man. The original Shining was directed by Stanley Kubrick, so you know it's gonna be good, man.
Yeah, hell yeah.
And he was brutal to the I forgot the girl's name, but I heard like the way he treated her on set, she was like couldn't stand him. Like he kept pushing her because like, no, you're not doing enough. Like he wanted to be so perfect in how she was, and she wasn't delivering, I guess, to what he wanted, and he was berating her apparently. So that's as much as I know as far as that goes.
Was she Adrian? She was Adrian, right?
I think her name is Shelley Duvall.
Shelley Duvall.
Played Adrian in the Rocky.
Yeah, she played
series,
Adrian
right?
in the Rocky, I believe so.
Yeah.
Did you guys like the? Is it the prequel or the sequel? Dr. Sleep.
Dr. Sleep is a sequel. Yeah, I like it. I've also read that book, and you know, I think the story of just like alcoholism and how that ties into like mental health of men, especially fathers. It's a really interesting story. So yeah, I think Dr. Sleep is a great accompaniment to The Shining. Both are a lot of fun. I do recommend starting with The Shining though. There's, you know, a lot of backstory built up there.
Yeah, I'm really into the occult and all that supernatural stuff, and the Dr. Sleep and how they, you know, it's almost like a symbolism for, you know, the adrenochrome conspiracy theory too, where they kind of scare their victims and then soak up their essence, you know, when she was like inhaling her essence or her soul or whatever. It's one of those movies where I didn't like how it played out cinematically on screen, but taking that idea home was really entertaining for my mind. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there was a lot of interesting things about like just the way the movie was. I mean, it was pretty true to the book, but yeah, like I don't know, some of the visuals, like with the hat, they like make the hat a really big thing. It's kind of goofy. But yeah, I liked it still.
So I always am curious about the difference between books and the on-screen adaptation, because I had read Jurassic Park and The Lost World, and you know, despite how good the original Jurassic Park and Lost World movies were, like, yo, if you read the book was crazy. You know what I mean? So how is the difference between the book, the Shining book, and the movie? Were there any key scenes that were missing?
I mean, the book it's a thick book. It's you know, there's a lot that has to be cut to adapt it into a movie. So I think that just off the bat, there's going to be a lot missing, and there was. I still think that the movie, you know, it may have told a slightly different story, but it was still an amazing one. I think the movie goes more into like the haunting of the hotel, whereas the book primarily focuses on Jack and his alcoholism and his troubled past, and you know, trying to make something of himself and feeling like he is a failure all the time, and how much that weighs down on him as a man and as a father.
Interesting. Man, fuck that. I would never. I'd leave, bro. I'm a pussy when it comes to that shit. Y'all can stay. How long did you guys stay at a fucking haunted house, your man? I would have left like the next day, bro.
Which house was that?
Yeah,
this house is all like before I even met you guys. I was still a little. This was up back in Rolling Heights. Like the whole point was we were moving in because we're helping someone like renovate, and they're like, you guys can stay here, help us out, and then we were able to just take over the house. And I was like, as a kid, I was like, hey, that's a sweet deal, but as an adult now, I'm like, that's kind of suspicious, you know, like, hey, you can fix our house, we'll let you stay. But I guess my mom and my dad were like, cool, because it was like a family friend at first, so they're like, oh, okay, so we'll go ahead. And we, you know, nothing was really going on in the first like couple months we were there. Like obviously there was a lot of renovations going on, but then things started to pick up probably like when we were like there for half a year. Just weird like feelings started coming. Like that's the best way I could put it. I mean, just walking down the hallway to the room, I remember I always feel like my hair raising, and I'm just like, that's never happened before. So I just go to my room, nothing. And I remember going to bed, and you know, I'm not allowed to have the TV on. So I remember my TV was off, and my mom coming in and is like, why is your TV on? And why is it on this channel? It was fucking Jerry Springer. And I was like, I don't know. I was sleeping. She thought I was lying. She's like, you know, you sneaking. And I was like, okay, whatever. That was a weird occurrence. And then just fast forward. This is to a point where we all started experiencing shit that we all started sleeping in one room. So in one room was my mom, my dad, me, my little brother, and my older sister were like, yeah, something's up in this fucking house. And one night my dad was gone, and it was just my mom, myself, my little brother, and my aunt. And we were just hanging out in the room. And then my mom tells my aunt, hey, can you go turn off the TV? Because we could all hear it. It sounded like a TV was on and people were like two women laughing, right?
Oh, no.
And my aunt's like, all right. She goes down, she goes to the hall, and she's like, the living room light's off and the TV is off. And we're like, what? And then right when she said that, there was a giggle like someone ran down the hallway. And then my mom just shut the door. She's like, what the fuck is going on in this house? And another occurrence, like, you know, Zach and Jerezy over here, they've met my two older brothers. They're big guys, you know, they seem like, you know, they can take on whatever. And there was this part where one of my older brothers was just sleeping in his room. He had his door open and he said he kept seeing shadows down the hallway. He thought my other brother was home. So he called my mom. I was like, hey, is Mike home? And she's like, he's been out all day. He's said he's not coming home for the night. And he's like, because I'm seeing someone walking in the hallway. And mom's like, no one's home. And then he ran into the room like this big guy, like 6 foot something, running into the room. It's like, fuck that. And just so many shit, like doors opening while I'm showering and feeling like a hand going like this while I'm showering and just creepy shit. So when people say like, oh, I don't believe in ghosts, you know, I wish I could believe that with you.
Yeah, he just burned the whole house, bro.
Yeah, I mean, just a lot of experience. I mean, I could go on for it, but you know, just things that really stood out is like seeing footprints out of nowhere on the floor. I remember going for breakfast, and it was just like these very long, sharp feet. And my dad was looking at it, and everyone's like putting their feet on it, and it felt like sandy. It was like, well, we don't have any fucking sand in the backyard. There's no dirt. How could there be? And it started from the carpet going into the kitchen and into the garage. And so when we saw it going to the garage, I was like, I'm not going in the fucking garage.
I'm out of there.
Yeah.
Sheesh, that's some poltergeist shit, right?
Yeah,
see, that's the thing. Like, some of these movies are based on real shit, so it's like, I was watching this documentary about, I think it was have you guys heard of the movie Deliver Us from Evil? I think it's with I forget who it's.
Heard of it. I haven't seen it though.
But it's based on a cop / demonologist, and what he would do is he would get assigned cases, obviously, that were pretty sus, and so when he'd go there, he would have like a sixth sense of knowing kind of what was what, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And what he said is like over here in America, like there's some areas where they watch scary movies and they can keep it as scary movies. But if you show that same movie to people in like Africa who practice like voodoo and like real, you know, where the witchcraft really is based on real shit, they respect the lore and they kind of know a little bit more about it too. You know what I mean? Which is kind of scary.
You know what I will say though, in case anyone's listening or anyone has an experience with a haunted house, whenever I see in a movie that they're getting like a priest or someone to come bless the house, don't fucking do that.
It just pisses them off.
It pisses them off because we did that at my house. My mom was so sure. It's like, this is going to get him out of the house. I'm like, all right. So he comes in the house and the pastor is just like, dude, this, I can feel it. It doesn't want me in this house. And I'm like, yeah, well, hopefully you kick it out. And he did his whole blessing and all that. We were all in one room because he told us to stay in one room. And honestly, when he left later that night, it got worse. I was like, yeah, he didn't do shit, man.
Bang.
No.
What do you mean by that? Yeah, what do you mean by it got worse? You get Jonah Hill, like this is the end.
No, I mean just more of the shit. Whatever this ghost was doing in the house was just getting creepy. Okay, so by our front door, there's a table, like, you know, where you kind of just set, you know, when you go in the house, you have like a little bowl where you set your keys or whatever, just shit like that. Yep. And we had a stack of newspapers that was just sitting up there, and it's been up there for the last week. You know, we didn't really touch it, and one late at night, it's just, we heard a loud bang, like that night when he came, and we were just like, what the fuck was, it sounded like someone kicked the door open. So my dad was like, all right, stay here. I'm going to go check the front door. And when he turned on the light, he saw all the newspapers just scattered all over the front floor, the living room, everywhere. Like someone just took that shit and just threw it like that and just said, fuck you guys, you know? And we're like, what the fuck? And then when he did that, he heard a loud banging in the garage, and I was like, "You're gonna go check that?" And another night was just like in Paranormal Activity. It didn't fucking happen like Paranormal Activity, like where, you know, she's sitting in the kitchen and everything fucking opens. That's not what happened. It's just we woke up in the morning and everything in the kitchen was open. Like all the cabinets, all the drawers, fridge, freezer, everything was just wide open. You know, and that's of as much as I can remember. And I remember like my mom brushing her hair, and then it just seemed like someone was pulling her hair because her hair was just raising like this. And my mom was looking in the mirror. She's like, "What the f?" And I was at that point where mom's like, "We gotta get out of this house." And the weird part was when we finally getting out of the house, we were all out. We were pretty much done packing up. My mom felt this sudden urge to stay. Like she felt like energetic, like she wanted to face this ghost and fight it. She's like, "No, I'm not going. You guys go." And I was like, "You're fucking freaking me out. Like you're fucking freaking me out." And my dad's like, "What are you talking about? Get the fuck out of the house." And she's like, "No, you take the kids, go take them to, you know," because we were at a hotel. We were waiting to go move into a new place. And she was just like, "No, I'm not fucking leaving. I'm going to face this thing." And she was like yelling in the house, like telling them, come out. And I was like,
jeez. That's crazy. That's my first time hearing that shit. I've known this guy for years.
Yeah.
I don't talk about it because, I mean, I'm bringing chills up, but I mean,
yeah,
he knows that story because I told that story to Danny, and you know, I think Danny.
Let me guess. Danny was like, "Nah, dog, you guys."
No, Danny's like, "No, we should."
Probably was the wind, dog.
No,
we should go back.
Well, for Max, though, Danny's one of our good friends too, but actually, he was pretty like. He was shocked about everything because he has his own experiences with shit like this, like being in Guatemala. Because I don't know what's about third world countries and hauntings, and it's weird coming from the Philippines and living there. I mean, Jarrell. I mean, I know
there's too much 5G here, bro. There's too much 5G here for them.
The ghosts don't like 5G. They don't like it. It fucks up their frequencies.
Yeah, it's not their vibe. It's not their vibe, bro.
Not their vibe.
Yeah. Jeez. So don't. Moral of the story is don't get a pastor. Don't get him in your house because he'll just fuck it up for you, and you're gonna have a worse time.
Well, thanks for the advice.
Yeah, noted for sure.
So you're not scared of ghosts. You're not scared. Have you ever? Well, what are some movies that you've watched and kind of lingered in your head? You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't necessarily say I'm not like scared of ghosts. Like if a ghost was haunting me, I'd be pretty scared. But I just say, you know, I've never had an experience like that. Knock on wood, you know. I hope not.
I hope it never happens to you. I would never wish that on anyone.
As far as things that linger with me, I mean, there's a lot of movies that do. But did you guys see Barbarian? I think it came out last year, and that movie just stuck with me. Like it was so dark and crazy and just like beautifully shot, as well as Talk to Me. You know, came out not too long ago. So cool. Just really cool stuff coming out nowadays, which I think like a lot of people, especially like older fans of horror, think that like, oh, the new generation of movies sucks. And like, I kind of agree with that. There's a lot of trash out there, but there's a lot of really cool directors doing some really cool stuff. Yeah,
it's almost as if like the foreign films are kind of taking over. Like Koreans are making some good movies. Like I've seen horror movies. I know it's not a Korean. I could be wrong, but Incantation was a foreign movie, and that was pretty fucking creepy.
That one really creeped me out. Actually, I watched that while my wife was at work, and I was just like, I honestly paused it a few times. I was like, I don't know if I should finish this right now. I feel spooked.
Hey, when you coming home?
I'll wait for you.
Hey, this movie's crazy. I'll wait for you. Yeah,
Maxio. Sorry, Jermaine. I was just going to cut in real quick, but I'm glad you brought up that, like, the old school fans of horror. My dad is the biggest horror fan I know, and he's always trying to get me to watch these movies. And unfortunately, my wife's not a big horror fan, so
mine neither.
I tend to find myself watching these by myself, if at all. So like, he was trying to get me on like Terrifier. I think he told me about Barbarian too. Is that with the dude from Dodgeball? What's his name?
It has Bill Skarsgård in it.
Oh, definitely not then. And then there was another one called was the one about the walrus and this dude.
Oh,
like
Tusk.
Tusk, yeah. And like he was talking about like all these crazy movies. So I would like look these things up and then like, just try to see like how good they're rated or whatever. But no, you're absolutely right. Some of these things that these guys are doing nowadays, because it's so hard to do something new and have it be like a hit. But like between A24 and obviously Terrifier like 3 now is in production, or it'll be out this year. But yeah, I just want to touch on that because my dad is a big horror fan. He's really liking some of the new stuff that's coming out.
Yeah, the Terrifier movies are brutal. Like, absolutely pulls no punches. Especially the second one. Like, there was some gruesome stuff in that.
I need to go see.
Yeah, definitely haven't had a chance.
That's the one with the clown,
to watch it. Yeah, Heart
the Clown.
Interesting.
My wife hates clowns. She's never gonna watch that movie, dude.
Yeah, it was it for me that ruined it. Speaking of old school horror movies, what do you guys prefer, the remake or the original?
That's a good question.
I actually prefer the new ones. I really do prefer the new ones.
New ones? What?
Like the ones with Skarsgård in them.
Sure.
Yeah, I just like the way, obviously, like it's modernized, the effects are better, all that jazz, but like it felt scarier. And I think it's because growing up, like that was the movie, at least like where I was from, and like all the kids around like my area, elementary school was like, hey, have you seen it yet? Oh no, you're a pussy, blah blah. And so like, no, I haven't seen it yet. But my mom, that's like my mom's favorite scary movie, and so she was always telling me like, oh, the book's better. That goes back to our point that we were talking about with books versus movies. So when I finally ended up watching it, it didn't feel scary to me. The only like real scary parts were like when the dude was found in the bathroom and he committed suicide. Like for some reason that got to me. But like the balloons and stuff and clowns never really scared me. But the new one, there were definitely some things that like I was like really freaked out about. Even for like that little split second. I think the practical effects and the acting was a lot better.
I would have to agree. I think the practical effects are a lot better in new ones. I agree, but I think Tim Curry's It was a lot scarier looking for me. It just looked a lot more menacing. I think I always laugh when Skarsgård was doing the laugh. I was like, dude, that's funny. Like, it just sounded goofy to me. And he was like, ooh! And, Tim Curry's It was just creepy. He had like the long, like fingers and the teeth every time he smiled. That was, as a kid, that was like very scary for me. But yeah, I agree. The new one is definitely better. But as far as a scarier clown, Tim Curry.
Yeah, Tim Curry was just freaky looking, that's for sure. I do think I enjoyed the newer ones better, probably just because it breaks it up a little bit, being part 1 and part 2. The way they did the original, it was like a TV series originally, so they put it out in like chunks. Right. But watching the whole thing at the same time is like, it's a chore. It's like 3.5 hours long. I think I rented it for like $4 and I watched as much as I could, and then I got tired and I fell asleep. And then the next day, my rental had expired, and I had to rent it again to finish it. So,
yeah, I remember just having the It VHS set, and it was like a few of them, and just
it was like 3 of them, huh? Like a thick ass box. Yeah,
it was sitting on the bookshelf, and I always just see like Tim Curry's in the corner, like, fuck that movie, I'm not watching that one.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think Skarsgård's his look more appealing. I like to think too, the scenes that they recreated hit a little more effectively, probably because of modern technology now. But yeah, I do agree. I think Tim Curry has a creepier clown look, and I think it's just because Skarsgård has a more expressive clown look, almost like Joker that we've seen now that we can kind of understand. But Tim Curry has more of like, I can't even read him because, you know what I mean? He just looks creepy.
He just looks so alien.
Right. So
I will say that too. Like, it never looked like Tim Curry, but you could definitely like kind of see Skarsgård behind the makeup. But I think that's pretty crazy to think about when the movie from back in the day was all practical effects too. Like, there was very limited like computer generated imaging. So.
Well, yeah, I think because back then they didn't have the technology like right now to rely on to clean it up for them. So they really had to go hard in those practical effects, and they came out great. A lot of scary movies back then, like I said, have that kind of little essence of more creepiness for me, just because of how much they put into it to set the tone. And then nowadays you have these effects that will kind of set the vibe for you. But I mean, I think there's great things in both in the new and the old school. A lot of the new school is learning from the old school, and we're kind of seeing what maybe the old school was trying to convey in these new movies.
Yeah. Yeah, the practical effects, that's really an art form. I would love to see more of that coming back in newer films, because with CGI, you can kind of rely on that too much, and you can get sloppy with it, and sometimes it doesn't look very good. But with practical effects, it's going to look as good as you make it out to be. And I think that that's really cool.
Yeah, speaking of terrible special effects, The Flash.
I was gonna say Venom, bro. 1 and 2.
Venom had better than The Flash. I'll give Venom credit for that. Maybe they had a bigger budget. The Flash had a big fucking budget, I think, too. But
yeah, man, they had to pay Nick Cage for that scene, bro.
They had to pay him. They couldn't even get a good CGI form of Nick Cage, man.
So depressing. It was bringing up depressing shit.
Cost a lot for a Cage cameo, bro.
Yeah.
So the slasher movies, what did I see recently? The new Scream. Is that out yet? Is that, how do you guys like the new? Yeah, because what's called? There's a Jason movie coming out, and there's a Michael Myers movie that's kind of modern too, right? They're still kind of keeping that on. How you guys liking the continuity of that? Are you a fan of slashers?
I could take it or leave it. I'm not like the biggest fan of slashers. I think they're cool, and I've seen most of the original ones. And it's kind of one of those things for me where the more you do it, the less the appeal is interesting to me. I can only see Michael Myers do his thing so many times before it gets a little boring. But I don't know. Some people like it. It's just not, doesn't catch me every time.
I feel you on that one, because I did the whole Final Destination not too long ago. I did the whole series. Oh, and after I got done with the second one, I was like, man, this shit sucks.
Yeah, it's really the same movie over and over.
Yeah. And when we get to third and the fourth, I was like, oh God, I can't believe I'm watching this. I'm glad it's only an hour and a half. But the first one was cool. I think the whole premise of like finding because that's the mysterious thing that a lot of people are afraid of, like death. So obviously that's a very common aspect for people to relate on. It's like, ooh, this is going to be creepy. But then you see it so much, you're just like, oh, great. He got a tire to the face. Funny stuff. But yeah, I mean, like you said, like slashers and stuff like that, it does get old, but it's cool to watch and just, I don't know, I'll smoke a little weed and just trip out on something stupid and like, oh, that was stupid. Oh, she's going to die, But I do like more of like very haunting and sinister stories, because that's what really spooks me out. So I like kind of indulging in that kind of series. But I didn't even know they were coming up with a new Jason, so I'm actually pretty interested in finding out more about that.
Wait, has Michael Myers gone to space yet, or what?
Jason
no, just Jason. And Leprechaun.
Leprechaun goes to space.
Has Michael Myers gone to
supposedly Chucky's going to space.
Oh, nice.
Oh my God.
Shit.
Chucky.
Everyone's got to go to space at least once.
I mean, they did it in Fast and the Furious, so they got to go to space.
Yo, I mean, Michael Myers, he fought Busta Rhymes.
No.
Like a while back. Yeah. That was like what, like 2000, 2001?
Oh my God.
Halloween Resurrection?
Yes. Now I remember that. So Busta.
Chucky in space would be pretty dope. I heard Jurassic Park, cool. New one, is going to be in space.
Isn't Chucky? They're doing a series for him now, right? There's going to be like a
show. Yeah, this TV show.
It's actually really good. So for me, I know, Jermaine, you were talking about this, but my first exposure to horror movies was Child's Play, and it terrified me as a kid. I'm talking like couldn't sleep, and it lasted a long time too. Like I was fucking deathly afraid. I stopped playing with toys. I was so scared, dude. But as I got older, obviously, and had kids, that just kind of went away. But the TV show is really good. It like continued with, I think the Curse of Chucky movie. It kind of spun off of that and stuck with like the main lore. And they're on season 3 right now. I think they went on that hiatus because of the strike. But that's a pretty damn good show, dude. I enjoy it.
I love the Chucky series. It's hilarious to me. Like I think it's more fun than it is scary for me. And I remember when they had Sita Chucky and she was giving birth, I was like, what the fuck? She's giving birth to a doll? What the fuck is this?
Yeah, that's when it stopped getting scary.
Yeah. I always thought Chucky was just a funny character overall, so that's why I enjoyed watching it. It wasn't so creepy to me. It was just, I couldn't wait for it to see him on because he was going to do something stupid. That was like our earliest version of like an X-rated or R-rated Stewie Griffin, in my point of view.
Yeah, man. My grandma and my mom are really into horror movies. So fucking unfortunately for me, like I was raised in fucking horror movies. And so my grandma had this room. It was like a guest room where, you know, we put a bunch of, we pretty much treated it as storage. But since it was a guest room, every time we would act up, that would be our timeout room. So they just lock us in there. And my grandma had a fucking Chucky doll in the closet, bro. So every time she locked me in there, I would think that the fucking Chucky would just come to life and come out and, I don't know, like, wouldn't stab me, but try to strangle me or some shit. And that shit stuck with me until I probably was like 25, 26. I had a dream. I was like, "Dude, why am I scared of the doll?
Let's play hide the soul." Okay.
Yeah.
So he is a classic though. And one classic iconic horror figure I feel like that hasn't made a comeback. And out of all of them, I feel like the idea of it's really fucking terrifying. I haven't gone on a rabbit hole of watching it because I'm low-key terrified of going down that rabbit hole and taking that with me subconsciously again, is Freddy Krueger, bro. You know what I mean? Like the sleeping and he gets you in your sleep type shit makes me not want to sleep.
The little song the little girls or the little kids sing to is pretty creepy. Just imagine hearing that.
Yeah, that too.
Middle of the night. 1, 2, oh shit.
Yeah, it would be I remember watching that as a kid, like I said, because I was raised in horror movies. It'd feel like a fever nightmare, right? Do you guys remember it? Terrifying.
Yeah, I do like that one. I think I actually like the second one better. Have you seen the second one?
Yeah, I have.
It's got some really interesting tones, some really weird stuff happening, but I don't know. It's just kind of it's an enjoyable ride all the way through.
Yeah, and then when it leads to Freddy versus Jason, I was like, fuck yeah, we're getting Freddy versus Jason. It's not even, like I said, it wasn't even scary for me. I just wanted to see them fight because that was always the thing. It's like, who was it, Freddy, Jason, or Mike Myers? Too bad we never got Mike. I mean, I think they were supposed to bring him in for a sequel, but Freddy versus Jason was just a one and done. But I think I remember reading like they were trying to bring in Mike Myers.
Triple threat.
Fucking yeah, that would be cool, and I hope that's something they consider now because I think we could use a movie like that nowadays.
Yeah, just something fun and stupid.
Exactly. Sure. I mean, we got Cocaine Bear. That was fun and stupid.
That shit was awesome.
Yeah, it was.
That was a good movie. I enjoyed that.
Speaking of Cocaine Bears, I saw this. I don't know if it was recent, but there's a report of like these sharks. Did you see that? They somehow they found like an abandoned packaging of like cocaine, and they were just eating it and showing erratic behavior.
I mean, cocaine will do that for you.
Cocaine shark coming out soon. So if not already out, this might
Cocaine's
be a
hell of a drug.
Yeah.
I just saw this trailer the other day for this movie, speaking of sharks, of like this plane crashes and it like lands in the ocean and it's sinking, but like they still have air in it. And then like the threat of the movie is like sharks are trying to get into the plane, like as it's sinking. I was like, dude, they're really running out of ideas here. But it actually seemed pretty cool. With like at first yeah, exactly. That's how I saw it. I was like, that was a tagline or whatever, and I was like, oh no, they're running out of ideas. But then when you watch the trailer, I was like, I might be into that.
But for you, Max, I mean, just as silly as these horror movies getting, as someone who's heavy, like a horror movie buff, how do you feel about these stupid, silly ones? Do you watch it? Like, I fucking love the cheesiness of it. Do you feel like this is kind of like making a joke of a genre that you actually really, really like?
No, I think it all adds to it, really, because I mean, yeah, a huge part of it for me personally is I like to get scared, and I like, you know, dark, heavy themes that are really going to weigh on me and make me think. But we all need to laugh sometimes. We all need to watch something stupid and just turn off our brain. And I think that horror movies are a great place to go for that, because there's just so much schlock. There's so much just trash out there that's so bad it's good. And that's one of the things we like to talk about on our show, is that we give a rating for every movie we do. And if a movie's bad, sometimes that just makes for a great episode, because then we can talk about how bad it is, and it's super fun.
Right. And it's always the bad ones that always end up having like those cult followings later on. So yeah, I guess that's why we have to cherish those stupid movies. Like, I remember what was it, Snakes on a Plane? When that came out, it was like, that movie's so stupid. I was like, well, why are the ratings so good?
Have you heard the movie Rubber?
I've heard of it. I haven't seen it.
It's a horror movie, and the antagonist is a tire.
Yeah.
What?
It's shot pretty well. Like, it really exploits and takes advantage of all the horror movie tricks, you know, with the music score and the shots. But yeah, the main, you'd say, bad guy or villain's a rubber tire. You guys should check it out. As far as it's almost like a satire comedy, I would say. But yeah, like, there is a horror comedy, you know, where it's kind of horror. It starts off as a comedy, there's some comedic tones, and then it shifts into horror, you know. And I'd say Jordan Peele is starting to kind of pave that way, because the only other movie besides Us, Get Out, and Nope, I think that kind of hits the comedic horror movie is Parasite, right? Do you consider that a horror movie? See, there's a blurred line too, of suspense, sci-fi, and horror too, right? What do you?
Yeah, there's really, horror is like a wide umbrella, and we often squeeze in movies that, you know, maybe don't fit all that well, but we want to talk about them anyways. Thrillers really border that line. Sci-fi really borders that line. So yeah, I don't know. I think if it's disturbing, if it scares you, lump it in. Why not?
I think horror just has a lot of subgenres. Let's call it that. Like you said, you know, sci-fi horror. You know, just a lot. Like you said, it's an umbrella. I think there's a lot of interpretations. I think that's what's also cool about horror movies, because you get an action movie, you know what to expect, but then horror movies, like, oh, this one's like in space. How does this work? You know,
it's scarier, dude.
They're in space.
Scarier.
They ran out of oxygen. That is fucking scary.
No one can hear you scream.
Yeah.
All right. How about this? What's the scariest movie that took place in space that you guys can think of?
Fuck.
I would probably just the first thing that comes to mind is Alien.
Alien, yeah.
That's you know, that one really just stresses me out watching. You know, something about something watching you and being like around and preying upon you, but you can't fight it very well. You know, it's stressful. It's fun. That's a great one. I don't know if I've watched too many horror movies about space. It's an underrepresented subgenre right there. Space horror.
I agree on that one though, because I remember seeing aliens as a kid, and I remember, you know, when growing up, your image of an alien was those goofy rounded things, and then you see this black alien, just creepy, menacing looking, and just imagine that in a ship with you, and you're trying to get. I agree. That one's a pretty creepy movie. That's a good one. Because I mean, Leprechaun in Space, I've seen that, but that shit was just goofy, so that's not scary. Jason X in Space was cool, but it wasn't like creepy. So yeah, I would
that Alien. That Cloverfield one was in space too, right? Cloverfield Project or something.
Cloverfield's about aliens. I don't think any of it takes place in space, but yeah, it's aliens, so it's kind of all the same thing. Same thing like with the movie The Thing.
I love that movie.
But wasn't there that one on Netflix, that Cloverfield special, where they were in a space station
I haven't seen that one, but I think
it could be. Yeah, I haven't seen that one either.
I feel like that.
Yeah.
So from what I remember, like that whole movie took place on a space station, and then like as whatever was happening on the space station went down, and like the main character like ejected from it and was making her way back down to Earth. And as she's coming down through the clouds, you see the Cloverfield monster from the movie.
Oh.
Yeah. And then it just ends.
Yeah,
I forgot what it's called.
I've only seen 10 Cloverfield Lane. That's like a sequel.
Yeah,
so
Cloverfield Project is okay. I'll give that. I mean, I was just interested because it had the Cloverfield name. But yeah, it took place in space, and there was like this thing coming on board, and people were getting offed in there, and then the survivors were trying to get home. And I remember, like Zach said, she was coming home, and she was trying to contact her family. And then as soon as like she entered Earth, the Cloverfield alien was right there. It's like
that's
you were fucked up there, you were fucked down here.
Let's slap in that monster and make it all connected.
Yeah.
I don't know how you guys felt about Cloverfield, but when that shit was coming out, I was so hooked on the marketing. Like I really had high hopes on that movie, and even if it sucked, I defended it. You know?
Yeah. Viral marketing was a great thing back then. It was so like special. I mean, there was a lot of movies that did very successful just because of the viral marketing. I remember watching Cloverfield in the theater, just being nauseous, like fucking this can't.
That was rough.
Crazy, man.
Yeah, I watched it with all my friends. They're like, "Oh, that sucks." Like, you guys liked it? Fuck, let's watch it again. I was disappointed in
Sounds like that was fun.
You know, like I thought it would build on the story because I was really hooked onto the alien.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I was so disappointed to the fact that this Netflix project came out. I was like, "Fuck this! Like, I'm not gonna watch it." But I did see a snippet of the monster in there, so I was like, "Oh, you got me." I'm bad.
It's okay at the most. I mean, watch it if you got nothing, but it's not terrible. It's not good.
Yeah, but for space movies that are scary, Alien. Are you guys talking about the original Aliens with the actual aliens?
With
Sigourney Weaver.
With Sigourney Weaver?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I would say Aliens, but I like the prequels with Michael Fassbender.
Oh, like
I think
Prometheus.
Yep, not Prometheus, but Covenant, where there's
Covenant,
2 of them. Yeah. I think that I've been on this clone tip lately, and so I recently watched Invasion of the Body Snatchers. So
classic,
super classic, and there's so many remakes of that movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
Get Out's kind of a remake of it.
Yeah, Get Out,
like a loose.
And Us too, a little bit. Us, if you think about it. But I would say Covenant, just because of that switch of, the 2 Michael Fassbenders went on a battle and you didn't know which one came out up until the end when she goes into deep sleep. Spoiler alert. And also 2001 Space Odyssey when the fucking, operating system was just like, hey, I don't need you no more, bro.
Oh.
That would be the worst thing, man. I feel like those are see, that's the thing about horror movies too that I wanted to talk about. It plays on your fear, so it's a little subjective. We can all 4 of us can go to a movie and watch The Exorcist, and you 3 can be laughing and talking, making jokes about it, and I'm probably like, how the fuck am I going to sleep tonight?
Yeah.
So as far as what are you guys afraid of? Like what strikes fear in you? Because I would say Jaws and Open Water would be horror movies because I have thalassophobia. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But what are you guys afraid of? If that's not too deep.
Yeah, actually, I want to hear from Max because I mean, you have such a huge your taste is horror movies. So what is something that really gets you? Like, I want to watch it, but I know I'm gonna get fucking scared.
Dude, anything with spiders? I do not like spiders.
Like 8-legged freaks?
Arachnophobia?
Like Wild Wild West?
Yeah, I watched Arachnophobia not too long ago because I was like, okay, I need to conquer this fear. I'm a grown man. I should not be afraid of these little spiders. And the whole time I was so uncomfortable. But I mean, like, as far as like, I don't know, there's not a lot of spider horror movies, so it doesn't really get you very far. But I mean, I really like found footage horror movies or like, the perspective of the cameraman. That stuff always scares me a little bit more just because you feel like you're in it. It feels very real, or it feels like you're watching something you shouldn't. Like you found this on some like weird website and it's, it's something that's too dark to be shared on the internet. But
for sure,
that stuff is really cool. I love that. And it's really scary to me. Like Incantation, you brought that up. That movie's scary.
Yeah, it is. It definitely is.
There's
you, Zach?
We'll go down that rabbit hole too. Yeah.
So for me, obviously, I said, when I was a kid, it was Chucky, but so like there's one movie, I think it was mainly just the ending of it that really freaking got me was The Mist.
Oh, yeah, good movie.
Bro. And like, I don't know how I'd be able to live with myself, dude. Like if I was in that situation and like with my family, like, well, we tried, didn't have any more bullets.
Yeah, I would have just.
And man, I don't know. That's heavy. Like all that, like that real stuff. Like I mean, we like supernatural. Like that kind of freaks me out a little bit. But going through something like that, where like you got to decide to pull the trigger, and then the real horror is that like it was all in your head, or like safety was like a couple seconds away. Kind of like with certain aspects of the Saw movies. Like if you just would have waited a little bit longer, if you would have just read the rules or followed directions just a little bit longer, like you would have been fine. Like that shit like sticks with me in horror movies for sure.
Yeah, especially as a father, you're looking at that. It's like, fuck, he killed his son, and now he has to live with that because he's saved.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
There was a way out movies, but it didn't open until like later on. Yeah. That ending at The Mist really fucked me up too, bro.
Yeah, dark.
Got me good.
But I think that was a great way to end the movie. That was great.
Oh, sure. Fantastic! Yeah,
for sure.
That one and Saw are like my two favorite endings of like movies.
Yeah, Saw 1 is great. That one really hits home. The rest, whatever.
They're fun.
Gets a little too much into just torturing people, which not my favorite thing to watch, but some people dig it. So
some of those traps are gnarly, dude. I had a hard time sitting through some of those movies. We went to go through Saw marathons.
Yeah, if I was locked in a Saw trap, I have the perfect strategy, which is I would just kill myself because nothing is worth actually participating in those traps. They're horrible.
Don't let Jigsaw hear that, bro. Don't let Jigsaw hear that.
He's gonna message you later. Do you want to play a game? It's like, no.
Like, no, I'm just gonna die. It's fine.
Oh, that's great.
What about you, Jermaine?
Well, I mean, I like, again, agreeing with Max. I like found footage because of a very good scary movie for me was a VHS. I don't know if you guys ever seen that movie VHS.
We just reviewed that. That's our episode coming out this week, actually.
Yeah.
It's cool because what I like about the found footage is like there's this level of creepiness that it could be, the world's so dark, first of all, and just to have the idea is like, oh, this is found footage. What did they capture on this? And like, I remember my earliest experience of found footage was the Blair Witch Project. And I was a kid. I didn't know if that was real or not. And I remember when they came out, it was a big deal because people didn't know if it was real or not. They were just like, I remember the marketing is like, oh, they found this footage in the woods. And just the way the movie starts, it's like, the downside of that movie was you didn't really see, what the Blair Witch per se, but you just see people losing their minds there. And that was creepy for me as a kid. But as you get older and you watch, it's like, it wasn't too bad. Then you move on to like a movie like VHS and Incantation. You're like, wow, this is fucking creepy because, it's something you could believe that could happen to anyone or anywhere. Like I'm in VHS where the guys took that girl home or to the hotel, back to their motel. They thought they were gonna hook up with her, and she transforms into this fucking.
Oh man!
Remember that shit? I was like, oh no, I'm never bringing a girl back from the bar.
Yeah, I gotta check my. You gotta get to a checklist on that next time. Yeah, that was scary, bro. I mean, I was hooked though. I watched all. I think there's like 4 or 5 of them. I got up until Viral. I think Viral was one too. Yeah, I'd mentioned the Portal thing. It wasn't Black Mirror; it was in VHS. I don't know if you guys saw that one, the Viral one. But what I like about crazy, right? Would you go in, bro? Yeah. Would you go in?
The Portal? No.
Jeez, bro. I would have gone in any other time up until I saw that part of VHS. Now, because of that, never catch me going in any portals, man. I like where I'm at. I like it here. No, but what I like about VHS, it did kind of, we talked about the blurred lines between horror movies. There's sci-fi, there's thriller, and it kind of just took all that. And it's like, no, I'm gonna make that a horror movie because they played on Aliens too. There was there's a lot of stuff. There's zombies. Sometimes zombies is so saturated now. I don't even know if it's really horror now. You know what I mean? There's some comedy zombies, and there's just thriller or drama zombies like Walking Dead, So as far as found footage films go, though, have you guys seen The Deep House?
No, that's the one where they're like swimming the whole time, right?
Yeah.
I haven't seen it.
Bro, like I said, I have thalassophobia, so underwater. Plus, I am really into the occult, so I kind of respect the spiritual world, so that movie is pretty crazy. And it kind of plays in the psychology stuff too, because you kind of trip yourself out if you have claustrophobia, you know what I mean? It plays on those fears too. So pretty interesting. Another movie that blurred the lines that I still don't know really if it was fiction or not. And like you guys, your story about watching a movie alone, I put this movie on because I wanted to watch an alien movie, and then I put on The Fourth Kind. I didn't know what the fuck it was going to be.
Dude, that one is devastating.
Yeah, man. So it was said that it was based on true events. I didn't go deep into researching that. Do you know any of if that's based on actual?
I'm pretty sure that one just uses that as a way to reel you in. I don't think that one actually has anything that it's like basing it off of, other than that people say that they've been abducted, which is kind of a thing that's done a lot in horror. Like there are movies like The Conjuring and Amityville Horror where it's like, these are based on stories that people claim actually happened. And then there's movies like The Strangers where it's like based on true events, but the true events are kind of just that break-ins happen sometimes. And so, it's kind of it's just a tool for a lot of movies to kind of reel people in, but it's effective. I mean, The Fourth Kind is super scary. I still think owls are super creepy. So
it's funny. Owls are creepy ever since our friend Danny kind of told me how in Guatemala they say when you see an owl, that means someone you know is about to die. I was like, that's creepy.
Oh, jeez.
Like that's their superstition. Ooh, good question.
Hey, did you hear someone? Did you hear who was possessed by an owl?
Ooh.
That's crazy, yo.
No, but like going on the whole based on true events, I feel like a lot of movies just have a little tidbit in the movie that's true, and then just play off of that. It's like that part's true, so we're just gonna say the whole thing is based on true events. But like Max said, it's just a marketing ploy, and I think that reels people like fucking Paranormal Activity. They said based on true events because shit like that actually does happen. It doesn't mean they wrote that movie of an actual experience someone had. But yeah, it's all marketing and whatever reels them in.
Yeah. And my go-to like joke, haha, funny, is like Cheaper by the Dozen for me is a terrifying movie.
Oh my God.
I cannot imagine having 12 freaking kids, dude. Like, freaks me out. Can't watch that movie anymore.
Yeah, a lot of kids.
So that's like the scariest movie to me. That's what I always joke about.
It's not a comedy. This is a horror flick.
It's a horror flick.
My wife and I are having our first kid. Should I be afraid?
Hey, congrats.
Congrats, man. Congrats.
Yep.
No, don't be afraid.
Oh, okay, good.
Oh, girl dad. Nice. Yeah, no, don't be afraid. It's fun. It's like all the stuff you grew up and you got to like have fun with, and all the kid memories that you used to have, you get to now share that with your daughter. So that's awesome.
Good. I can't wait. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah. I think raising a kid in this kind of time, I mean, there's a lot of shitty things going on in the world right now, but the way things are is cool because we can share the hobbies now with our kids. You know, back then, our parents didn't really share like stuff like, except for scary movies with my dad. But like, imagine sharing the hobbies, like, hey, let's watch this. You know, like, or I mean, with my kids, Pokemon, we watch Pokemon together. So you're gonna have a lot of fun, man. It's definitely a time to, I mean, just enjoy it because it goes by so fucking fast.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Definitely go watch Knocked Up. I'm serious. I watched that before both my kids.
Man.
a great reminder of like what it's all about. It just makes me laugh so hard too.
Yeah.
I think Big Daddy's a better movie to watch.
I learned how to be a dad from Big Daddy.
Big Daddy's not bad. That's also a good one too.
It's a great movie. Yeah.
Yeah, there's some good ones out there.
That's cool, man. I'm also, dude. We're also pregnant, Manny and I.
Congratulations! So, that's awesome,
man. I'm in there with you, bro.
What?
That's awesome.
Is that
Jarizi Jr.
This is our first time hearing this.
What is this? I thought we were friends.
Congratulations.
Which brings me to my question.
Congrats, dude.
When they're kids growing up, because like I said, I was raised in horror movies. I don't think that was appropriate, but I'm not mad at that. You know what I mean? Just to give you some background, I wanted to watch movies about fish or sharks or whales because we went to SeaWorld, right? And so my mom was like, okay, Jaws. So that song was fucking ingrained in my head whenever I'm swimming, you know, I can't swim in a pool alone, bro, because I think sharks will come out the vents and I'm fucked, you know? And so I go to my dad. I'm like, Dad, like I like robots, you know? And he's like, okay, Terminator 2.
Terminator 2 is fucking awesome.
Great movie, but so graphic, bro. I shouldn't be watching that like 3 or 4. Yeah.
Oh,
so
man.
Are you putting a limit on horror movies with your kid?
Yeah, I mean,
what's the rule on that for you, man?
I think the rule,
right? Kind of part of your hobbies too.
Yeah, I think that, you know, once she's old enough to hear. Okay, so I'll share an experience with you. So my wife and I did foster care for a very brief time. It was like a month. We had an 8-year-old girl live with us, and one day I was like, you know, eight seems pretty old. Let's watch a scary movie. Yeah.
What'd you put on?
I put on Killer Clowns from Outer Space, which I thought would be goofy and fun. I mean, the clowns have like guns that shoot popcorn. So
that's awesome.
But no, she was horrified. Halfway through, she was like, "I can't do this," and I was like, "Okay, yeah, I shouldn't have showed you this. My bad." So, we'll wait a little bit to show her anything, and you know. But when she's old enough, I'll be right there to watch it with her. I think it'll be awesome.
Were you easing, like, you know, start off with some mild, scary movies and get to the hard shit later on? You know what I mean?
Well, we're not going to start with Saw, that's for sure.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. That's funny. Do you guys remember? I remember watching this before Toy Story. So Toy Story kind of creeped me out. Puppet Master?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Jeez, man. There's like, what, 8 of them?
Yeah, just so many of those fucking movies, but they were cool. I thought I enjoyed them.
Jeez. Good stuff, man.
Old
movies. Yeah, it's a good idea. You don't want to, you kind of ease them in and don't throw them to the monster.
It's not like the baby comes home, he's like, hey, watch this shit. And we were watching Saw, all of it.
Saw marathon for your birthday. So like the way I did it was, because I'm not really a big horror fan, but whenever October 1st, I'm like, I'm ready. Right. So let's put on Fear Fest. So like with my son, like I kept trying to like get him to watch some of these movies, and they were on TV, so I knew that they'd be kind of cut, so it wouldn't be too bad. And like I started out probably when just before he was 10, I think, or just after he turned 10, just trying to see if he wanted to watch them, and like here and there I'd put it on. And the first movie that we watched that was like uncut all the way through was that new Halloween Ends, I think.
Okay.
And he sat through it, and he was kind of spooked, but like that was like super gory, and you know, obviously it was like the unrated one on Peacock or whatever. But I think he's starting to get into horror movies a little bit, but and he's 12 now, so but he was definitely scared for a while. But I tried to ease him in with like the TV horror movies.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's smart.
Yeah, I kind of avoid all the gore and all that shit with the TV version, right? So that works.
Speaking of TV version, I think that's where I first saw The Shining, dude. Like, I think it was the TV imagination.
So you didn't see the naked old woman?
Yeah, I didn't see her all the way. I got enough of that in Dr. Sleep. Jeez. Yeah. So one thing I wanted to ask you is, so in our team, I'm kind of the guy that brings up all the conspiracy theories and stuff. So I like stay in the rabbit hole. But it gets kind of exhausting. So I need, other activities to kind of breathe and get fresh air out. Are there other genres that you like to, dive into other than horror movies? Like comedies?
Yeah.
What other
movies
you like?
I really like this is kind of connected to horror, but I like crime dramas. I just finished True Detective season 1 a couple nights ago, and that is just incredible. So anything with with crime is really fun. Dramas in general, I usually try to watch as much of the big movies for for the award shows when they come out. I try to stay up to date on stuff like that because I think it's fun. It's fun to critique art with the world, even if you don't agree. But I think I watched The Whale from last year's round of award shows, and dude, that movie messed me up. That was a heavy movie.
Brendan Fraser, right?
Yeah.
I have a question about that movie. So funny story or fun connection here. Since you just brought that up, I took my son to a barber shop the other day to get his haircut, and the barbers didn't have anything playing, any music or anything. So when it was time for my son's haircut, it was just before he got up there, he was like, "No, I'm gonna switch it up. I'm gonna put something on." So they put on a podcast, and it was Shane Gillis was on it, and they were talking about The Whale. And how the opening scene was that true? How it opens, where he's sitting there jerking it? Yeah, it's a gay porn. Oh yeah, man, I thought they were trying to embellish on it, but I was like, dang, that's kind of a rough start.
It's a strange. So neither of you seen it?
No, I want to though. I've heard it's a great movie.
Now, well,
especially now. Especially now.
I mean, I wouldn't even say that's the weirdest thing that happens. The ending, I won't give it away, but what happens in the end, I was laughing out loud, even though it's such a sad way for the movie to end. It's so sad, but the way it was executed was the most goofy thing I've ever seen. But at the same time, I love that movie. I think it's so if you want to be sad, watch that movie because it's really sad.
Ooh. Sometimes I like to be sad.
Yeah.
I don't know how you can get sad watching a dude jerking in the beginning of the movie, but I'll watch it.
With pleasure.
So other than movies, what do you like to do outside of movies, man? What are some other hobbies that you got?
I make music. My brother and I have a local band that we occasionally like to do stuff with. We haven't been as active on it lately, but we like to play local shows. We like to write music and go to the studio and stuff like that. It's just an expensive hobby though. It's when the funds dry up, no more music for a little while, but we enjoy doing it. I really like that part of my life where I get to just create things. Anything where I'm creating stuff, I'm very happy.
Mm-hmm. What kind of music you play?
Yeah, any instruments? What kind of music you make?
Yeah, I play guitar and I sing. I'm not the greatest singer, but I try. I'm really into metal and metalcore, stuff like that. But we mostly do pop rock just because it's fun and easy to make.
Cool. Danny does he's a metal
hardcore
screamo vocalist.
Hardcore,
yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
He's currently a flight attendant right now, so his
stewardess
levels are there you go. Yeah, so his sleep schedule is off right now, but yeah, that's interesting, man. So have you performed? How far did you pursue that aspect?
Yeah, we've performed. We've opened for local bands. We've done pretty small shows. I would like to do more with it, but it's tough. I live in Idaho. My brother lives in Utah. And then for the other guys in the band, we usually have to just find friends who are willing to play because we don't have set members. So it just doesn't happen all that often. But yeah, we just play little shows here and there.
That's dope, man.
Yeah, I rap. Zach doesn't. Yeah, kind of. You wrote some raps.
No, I tried back in the day.
Yeah, so
that's cool, man.
Yeah, pretty cool. I always like to ask musicians, if you can go to any concert, but this would be like the last concert you'd go to, but you have anyone at your disposal to pick, who'd you pick? Which concert would you pick?
So that's actually pretty easy for me because I wanted to go to these guys last year and the ticket prices skyrocketed so high I know I'll never be able to see them. So have you guys heard of Sleep Token?
I haven't.
So Sleep Token is like they're a metal-ish band. They're kind of experimental. And they really blew up last year. And so if I had went to see them a couple years ago, I could have seen them for $40. And now it's like $300-$400 for the nosebleeds.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's rough, but they're so incredible, dude. Like the singer's voice is just angelic. I love their breakdowns and their guitar riffs.
Look angelic.
Yeah, it's like dope, man. Low key.
It's like your horror like genre fusing into your music. It's pretty cool though.
Yeah. Yeah,
at least they look cooler to Insane Clown Posse.
ICP.
That's awesome. Are they fairly new? I don't think I've even seen these
They
guys.
have 3 albums out now, so they've been around since like 2016, I think. But they really only got popular last year with their newest record. So yeah, they've been in the shadows for a while, but they're coming up.
That's cool, man. Are you, I mean, as far as musically too, are you also pretty critical with music scores? Like as far as, are you sensitive with different genres of music too when it comes to movies?
Yeah, I mean, I'll usually notice if it's like a really good score. If it's just kind of, if it's just fine, I probably won't even notice it. But I really like horror movie scores because you can do so many interesting things with it. Like Jordan Peele, the scores for his movies are just so weird and strange and scary because it's like using sounds that you don't really hear in music that much. It's like just these like weird vocal patterns and like violins that are playing at all the wrong notes in the most perfect way.
Yeah,
so
and like
really
little
cool.
shrieking noise effects.
Yeah,
it really pulls that creepiness out, right? And just when he flipped that I got 5 on it was already creepy to me. I was like, damn, it's a creepy version. I got 5 on it.
Yeah.
So what about you guys? What bands would you see then?
What bands would I see? I think I'd want to see. Fuck, that is a good question. You know what? I want to see Michael Jackson because that guy's a fucking entertainer.
That's a good one.
That would be awesome.
And if I know it's nothing, but I've seen his show in Vegas, the Michael Jackson 1 for one of our other hosts, like bachelor party, and I was like, wow, this is an amazing fucking show. I don't know if like the weed had anything to do with it, but I had a great fucking time.
Definitely.
But just for nostalgia, I like to look at videos like that, like, concerts and just, like I watch the Queen stuff and I know about Pink Floyd because my dad used to be a big fan of theirs. So I'd watch their stuff. Like he had the DVD, like the Wall. But just watching these old school concerts and just seeing Michael Jackson shows, like that's not it's fucking entertainment. So it'd be very cool to experience that because he's just not just a musician, he's an artist, and it's very hard to find a lot of artists who know how to entertain as well. Because I've gone to a lot of shows and it's just cool hearing the music. I'm fucking happy I'm listening, but then to put on an actual show, that's artistry for me.
Yeah, I totally agree.
What about you?
So
Zach, this guy's got an extensive background in music because his dad is a drummer.
Yeah, my dad's a drummer.
A lot of music growing up, so
I've been actually very fortunate to go to a bunch of different shows. Like I've seen Prince, I've seen Rolling Stones, David Bowie. But the first thing that came to my head, and this is a show that I think Proper you and I were planning on going to go see before the tragedy, but I'd say Linkin Park. If I could pick anything, I'd want to go see Linkin Park.
I love Linkin Park.
We were supposed to go to that Hollywood Bowl show that they had, the Chester tribute show. So that's the one that I always.
We were actually planning to do that before. Like, remember they announced it, like, let's go, and then the news happened about Chester. I was like, no fucking way. That's Oh man, that sucked. So I remember,
yeah,
I made sure that last year we saw fucking Blink-182 because Blink-182 and then
that was
Mark
so cool.
Hoppus was diagnosed with cancer and he beat cancer. I was like, we're fucking going. We're going to go see fucking Blink-182. I don't give a shit. And one of the most epic shows I've been to.
That show was awesome. This guy just like messages me like day of. He's like, "Hey, I got a ticket if you want to go." And I was like, all right, fine. And like my wife really wanted to go, and she was like, "Just go, have fun with your boys."
It was a Father's Day for us.
Yeah, it was Father's Day. That's right.
We spent our Father's Day away from the kids and our wives. And just went to a Blink-182 show.
With the Blink-182.
Tom's jokes never got old.
Both our wives definitely wanted to go too, and they made the sacrifice for us.
Yeah. But I was like, it's my day. It's my day.
Yeah.
It's my day.
Linkin Park was like my favorite band for all growing up. Like they're just so interesting and so cool that they really inspired me to start making music because I just wanted to be like them. So yeah, they're awesome.
Chester's vocal range was amazing, man. Just
incredible.
How he can hold those screams. I was like, wow, this guy is unreal. Yeah. I think that's one of the reasons why, I mean, the whole like Mike Shinoda rapping on there was cool. I was like, I've never heard like, rap and metal fused together. It works. But then Chester was really why I was listening. Cause like, and then the sad part is, like every Linkin Park fan is like, all his music makes sense now when.
Go back. Instantly. You start hearing the songs again. You're like, oh, dude, it was right there.
Yeah.
Frustrating.
I think for me, it's creepy because my introduction to them is Crawling, right? So that's always this, the intro song for me for Linkin Park. And, obviously that was the hit. So it was overplayed, and then you find out their other shit, then you like their other shit. But knowing what happened to Chester and going back to the first song that you were introed and those lyrics being so relevant, goosebumps, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy stuff.
I got the Meteora anniversary package that they put up online. Fucking such a cool piece. Like if you guys don't have it, if you're a Linkin Park fan, you need to get it. It has so much cool shit in it. Even if you don't have a record player, I highly recommend getting it.
That's dope. I pick since I lived it and I didn't go to that concert, I think the Jay-Z Linkin Park mashup would have been an epic show.
That would be super fun.
Yeah. Oh man, I remember.
When are you ever gonna see that, bro? Like even just listening to that those songs brings
Collision
back
Course.
Yeah.
They announced that shit on MTV. I was so hyped. I was like, no fucking way, Jay-Z is gonna do this shit. And Linkin Park was at the height of it, and I was like, fuck yeah. And I remember just recording that shit on VHS. That's how old this was. That's gonna be found footage somewhere. Someone's gonna find that footage and they're gonna be like, what the fuck?
Get something creepy. It's just Collision Course.
Yeah, this is creepy.
Speaking of creepy, they were out around the time they were really playing cool music videos on MTV. And I felt their music video was kind of scratch the surface of horror genre too, right? Paper Cut. What it's called? Closer. Is it Closer to the Edge? What's that one? Everything you say to me.
One Step Closer.
One Step Closer.
One
Step
Step Closer.
Yeah.
I had
that was
some
the first song I heard from.
underground secret society type vibes,
Yeah.
So, and well, no, in the end was kind of more occult, not really horror, but classic. Interesting enough, I think you said Linkin Park was what inspired you. Mike Shinoda was who inspired me, man. So that's pretty cool. Got a lot in common.
That is cool. Yeah.
Fort Minor, right? Fort Minor.
We should talk outside after this, man. Come out with a song,
man. Yeah.
Speaking of Linkin Park, I love music. So every time I tell my wife and I get obsessed with a new song, I'll be like, hey, play this at my funeral, And This Is the End is my song to play. Like what are your favorite Linkin Park songs? What's your favorite Linkin Park song? One song.
That's so tough because I obviously like the first two records are like so classic, so cool. But that album, 1,000 Suns, it's very experimental and like a lot of people don't like it, but that album just is like perfect to me. And so there's a song on there. I'm like blanking right now, but
1,000 Suns.
I'll pull it up right now. You guys say yours though.
I'm gonna pick some from the new. I mean, Faint's cool. I mean, a lot. I have a lot like Somewhere I Belong. I really like that one, but I like from the newer stuff. Maybe Leave Out All the Rest. Great song.
That one's good.
Okay.
Breaking the Habit was a good one too.
Hell yeah.
Where I didn't like it at first, and then that was around time with the music videos, and it was all anime, and I wasn't a big anime person. But like every time I would hear that song, it felt like I would hear it like differently, and that's definitely one of my top ones. But I have my daughter singing that in the car now.
I'm just thinking of different songs now, and I like so many of them. Like From the Inside was a very good song. But
yeah, it was Burning in the Skies was the one I was thinking of. Off of 1,000 Suns. It's just that whole album just has so many like personal lyrics that I think the more I listen to them, the more they just make me want to cry. They're so beautiful.
Is that their last album, 1,000 Suns?
No, so 1,000 Suns is kind of like halfway. Then they did Living Things, the Hunting Party, and then the last one was, what is that one called? One More Light.
That's a good one. But yeah, like you said, no one really liked it because it was experimental, but I appreciate it because I was like, they couldn't do like all their old shit on and on because it would get old, you know, and
it would.
To see them kind of trying something new and make it work, I thought it was cool to see them try and step out of their comfort zone and make something new. And for me, I thought it was cool. It worked out. I like how it sounded going forward. So yeah, I wasn't too like upset with the 1,000 Suns and that change of direction. I thought it was cool to see that growth in them, but you kind of still hear that same pain, but in a different way from Chester, right?
Yeah,
that's really sad, man. Lost the going. Yeah, I was a big fan. Do you guys listen to Fort Minor, Mike Shinoda's rap group?
Yeah, he's coming back with something.
Oh yeah,
yeah. He said he's coming back with something. That's why he released this whole like anniversary kit for Fort Minor, a lot of merch, and he's been hinting like he's been working on it. So hopefully we see something soon.
You guys, Limp Bizkit fans?
Oh fuck yeah! Chocolate Starfish, hot dog flavored water.
Yo, I found my old CDs, bro. That shit was dope.
I think they were kind of like the starters for the whole like rap
$3 bill.
Right? Oh, $3 bill. Yeah, they were kind of like who started it, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure there were other bands, but I wasn't aware of. But Limp Bizkit came out, and that was like the whole. You know, you got Fred Durst rapping to like metal in the background, and here comes Linkin Park coming out a couple years later. It's like, oh, this is cool.
Yeah, those were the two front runners of that like weird hybrid style. Yeah. Hybrid theory.
Yeah. I remember, like one of my favorite bands too. Like it kind of sucked hearing it from one of like Foo Fighters. Like Dave Grohl, like kind of said like all their music's shitty.
Oh, he did.
Yeah, he's just I mean, but it's Dave Grohl, and he has those opinions. But I was like, I still like Foo Fighters, whatever.
Yeah, those fucking foos.
There's a horror movie about the Foo Fighters. It's got the Foo Fighters in it. Yeah, they're all acting in it.
No way.
Did they make that during COVID?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I gotta see that. That sounds funny.
Is it about Foo Fighters, like the?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I haven't seen it. I just heard about it, but I'm pretty sure it's them in a haunted house.
Oh no way! That's crazy.
Oh,
that's funny, man. All right, let's start to wrap this up. One thing I wanted to ask you guys, especially you, Max, 3 horror movies that you recommend. Let's end with that.
3. The first one that comes to my mind is Creep on, I think it's on Netflix. That movie might be one of my favorite movies of all time. It is so undeniably funny, but also creepy and like unsettling because I don't have any of you seen it.
It's on my list. I was sold on the trailer.
Is that what the dude from The League, Mark Duplass?
Mark Duplass, yep.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah, and so that movie, it's like it's about a guy who hires a videographer to like film him for a day, because he's like dying of cancer and he wants to film something for his son to know him by. And the day just gets weird really fast. And it's played very straight, but it's so goofy. You can't help but laugh the whole time. So I love that movie. Super fun. The second one would probably be The Lighthouse. Not everyone considers that one to be horror, but I think The Lighthouse is horrifying and really interesting and really strange. That's the black and white one with Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson.
Robert Eggers, right?
Yes. Yep.
We just rewatched Northman and so obsessed with that movie, and we watched Witch too. So that's definitely on the list, man. I'm obsessed with his style of film.
Yeah, he really knows how to like put atmosphere in the movie. Like those movies are atmosphere, and I love them. The third movie, I'll just say this is lots of people have seen this. It's not anything new, but Insidious. That movie's just home to me. That is one I saw when I was a teenager, and that's always been home for me. I love that movie.
Yeah, that reveal at the end was because I recently just watched it because I had gotten into astral projecting, gotten down that rabbit hole, and someone's like, "Yeah, dude, Insidious is about astral projecting." Yo, more like possession, bro. People are throwing curveballs at me, man. I guess I did the horror fields indirectly, but yeah, I need to watch Creep. So I'll definitely go check those out. What about you guys?
So the last one that really freaked me out was Sinister. I think I've only seen that one once. Yeah, I think that'd be right up your alley, Jermaine. So I'm just gonna go with my pops and say Terrifier 1 and 2. And 2 by a dozen. Scariest movie I've ever seen in my life. No. Oh man. So not anything slasher, I guess, because actually Scream 6 was good. I really like Scream 6. If you guys haven't checked it out, if you need to catch up on the Scream movies, the newer ones, I think they did a really good job of because like that's always been like a spoof in and of itself of the horror genre. So they really tapped into like the new like remake and like how that's what everything is being done in Hollywood nowadays, and so like they kind of were making fun of themselves the whole movie, but like rehashing the old stuff, so you get a lot of like nostalgia in Scream, especially from the first 3 movies. So yes, Scream 6 would be my last one.
Okay. I just recently saw this one and I thought it was pretty creepy, so I'm gonna go with Talk to Me, with the embalmed hand. Good movie.
Yeah.
That's great.
Movie. Creepy. I know I spoke about this earlier. I'll VHS. I mean, it's kind of one of those movies no one's really heard of. Every time I bring it up, it's like, no, I've never seen it. So definitely go watch VHS. And I want to pick like a throwback movie, so I think I'll pick The Ninth Gate with Johnny Depp. I don't know if you guys remember. That's a long time ago. Yeah, it's a creepy movie for me. I mean, I saw it as a kid. I remember seeing that, and then or like End of Days with Arnold Schwarzenegger. It was corny as fuck, but it was cool seeing Arnold Schwarzenegger in like a kind of a horror flick, right? But yeah, so Talk to Me, VHS, and Ninth Gate, just to throw an old movie in there.
Cool.
I was going to say VHS, but you got that covered. So mine's going to be Fourth Kind. Got to watch that. That shit, it's a fucking curveball. Smile was... I thought Smile was really good up until the end. I didn't like how that unfolded, but I was hooked.
Smile was fun.
And you know what? This was really recognized when it came out, but I feel like it faded into shadows real quick. Invisible Man.
Oh yeah.
That was a great sci-fi thriller, kind of horror in the beginning, until it started unfurling. But
yeah, I do like that one. Forgot about that.
You guys heard that movie Pearl? It's like is that any good? Because my friend told me to watch it recently. I was like, oh, I've never. It just kind of came to mind.
It's the second movie in the trilogy, so it goes X, Pearl, and then Maxine. Maxine hasn't come out yet, but it's going to come out, I think, this year. So yeah, if you haven't seen X, watch X first and then Pearl. They're both pretty good. I wouldn't say they're my favorites, but I enjoyed them.
Okay. Nice to know it's a sequel, because I would have just jumped into Pearl, not know what the fuck I'm watching.
I have to ask you, bro. I've tried to watch it like 3 times and I can't get into it. Skinamarink. Is it worth it?
No.
Thank you. Okay.
That movie is so bad.
Really?
I mean, if you like to
scary.
stare at a wall for 2 hours, then yeah, it's awesome. But
Okay.
Okay.
My gut feeling was right then.
yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you, Max, for coming to the podcast. Where can people find you outside of the cave, man?
Yeah, so I host Horror Movie Talk with Bryce and Sydney. So head on over to horrormovietalk.com or check out Horror Movie Talk at Instagram, Instagram, YouTube, Spotify. It's the same everywhere. So anywhere you want to find us, we'll be there.
All right. Yo, we gotta check those movies out, man. We're actually gonna start like a little movie segment. And so it'd be dope to have you guys on as a guest for that too. So
yeah, this was super fun, and I'll let the other guys know, and maybe we can have one of you guys on our show sometime.
Oh,
That'd
definitely. I mean, it would be fun. I mean, I know we didn't really speak. We probably didn't dive into horror movies like you guys do on your podcast, but this is. I had a lot of fun. I know we all did, but thank you for coming on, man.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Seriously, guys, it was fun.
Max.
Appreciate it. Yeah. All right, everybody. That wraps it up for us in the cave. If you want to talk more movies, music, or anything else, then you can dive deeper in the cave and join the Discord community. Link on our Patreon page. You can find that on our website, cave.com. That's K4V3.com. Thank you for joining. Peace out, everybody.
Later, guys.
Peace.
Hopefully no hauntings happen on my way home.
I will never watch Fear by a Dozen again.